definitely it just changed our organization and alignment and the need for it. I didn't realize how bad we needed it. And now that we have it, I can't imagine operating without it.
This is Joe Martin, Executive Director, Texas High School Coaches Association. Thank you for joining us today on our podcast. Before we get started, a few updates regarding the spring of 2025. Just reminding you that our 25-26 THSCA membership is available to you on our website. And encourage you to sign up as soon as possible, and don't forget your liability insurance as you do that. Also, coaching school tuition is available on our website currently, and you can go into the portal. You can go to our website and be able to sign up and get your tuition to coaching school, which will be in San Antonio. The Hall of Honor is July the 19th, and coaching school runs July 20 through 22, with a regional meeting being on July the 21st on that Monday, and our general meeting the 22nd. And just reminding you that those two meetings are not the same, and we encourage you to attend both of those meetings, along with the 250 to 270 hours of professional development. We look forward to seeing you at coaching school. The sooner you sign up, the cheaper it is. And providing that you have membership going into coaching school, you'll be set and ready to go coming out of coaching school for the new school year 25-26. As you know, the 89th legislative session started in January. A lot of updates on our website, a lot of things that potentially can impact you, us, all of our coaches and athletics across the state of Texas. So stay tuned to our website. We will be involving updates through Sports U and sending legislative updates as we need you as this session grows beyond vouchers and the UIL bills that are out there. We will be fighting for you in our profession, and we need your help. So stay tuned. When we can get information to you, please respond as soon as possible. Have a great day. This is going to be a great podcast.
Hey coaches, did you know we're now offering shows for all sports? That's right, whether it's basketball, volleyball, softball, baseball, football, soccer, you name it, we've got you covered. If you're looking for a way to showcase your program, promote your players, and highlight the amazing things happening with your team, our coaches shows are the perfect solution. Plus, our business model lets you or your booster club raise money while building excitement and support for your program. Don't miss the opportunity to take your team's story to the next level. Find out how you can get your very own coaches show. Reach out to Chris at 713-269-4620 today. That's 713-269-4620, because every team deserves the spotlight.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Coach's Call. I'm Chris Doelle, and today I have another amazing guest host, Joe Castillo, Coach Castillo from Little Elm. You're the Assistant Athletic Director, correct?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, I'm going to hand the mic over to you and let you introduce your guests and the subject we're going to be covering, and I'll just sit back and listen.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us on today's podcast. Our discussion will center around the role of a director of football operations within your program. We're excited to have Coach Josh Mann, who's the head football coach at Leander Rouse, and Coach Lexi Brooks, who's the DFO and the head boys track coach at Leander, with us all as well. I just want to talk about Coach Mann real quick. You know, he's a graduate of Amarillo High School. He was a two-time defensive lineman, all-district selection, played at Angelo State, 3-year letterman and a 2-year starter. He was in 2008, he was selected as the first and only head coach at Leander Rouse, and he's been there 17 years. And I think that's a heck of an accomplishment, especially in our business, where you're really in the pleasing business. People want to be pleased all the time, and you can stay there 17 years. It says a lot about you, Coach, and your wife, Mandy, I guess is her name, right? It says a lot about her too, because it takes two. believe it or not. I really believe that. So congrats there. Coach Lexi Brooks is a graduate of Leander High School. I graduated in '01, correct? Or 2011, 2011.
Yes.
Yeah. You also attended Angelo State where you ran track, right?
Yes.
And you were a two-time All-American, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
And in 2020, you returned to Leander and are now at Rouse, right? And
Yes, sir.
and you've been the DFO and the head boys track coach since they're truly a trailblazer. When I read your deal about head boys track and DFO, and me and Coach talked about this earlier, creating a lot of balance within the coaching staff, and I think that's a great deal, and you need to be recognized. I do want to say this: there's always a bit of history in coaching. And Coach Mann, like I said, when you were a player at Angelo State, I'm dating myself, but I was a coach at A&M Commerce, so I coached against you when you were a player, and obviously Coach Brooks. I was at Little Elm as well as you were, not at the same time, but we were there. So. I hope I didn't leave anything out that you wanted to be glad to add anything, but I'd like to get started with our discussion questions if we can.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. Coach Mann, I'm going to direct this question to you first, okay? And I hate reading off a card, but I want to make sure I don't forget anything. Coach, why did you feel the need to add a director of football operations to your staff?
Well, as the day and age of football is continues to change, and with all the technology and all the other things, it's no longer just the X's and O's and going up and line up on the field and playing a game. There's so much that goes behind the scenes and directing operations. And last spring, I felt myself and our staff getting behind. We were getting behind tracking academic standards, eligibility standards, and then also with the recruiting and how much that world has changed. And even though we had coaches assigned, and as you know, all these coaches also are in the classroom, and their duties and assignments, the things that they have to get on top of and tracking class has just grown so much over the last 10 years. And even though we've assigned these out to coaches before, but they're also coaching their second sports, they're trying to get their position groups ready. And we got all these moving mechanisms that I talked to a few other coaches in the state that had done a DFO and kind of start picking their brains, noticed that it's really becoming a big thing in the college world, and started talking to a few of them and just realized, I'm going to have to give up a position coach on staff in order to make this happen. But when I got to watch Coach Brooks last spring take over the boys track program in the middle of the year and how she was responding to those guys and how they responded to her and her organization skills. And, when we got done with the track scene, it's like, well, how do we make this work? And it just kind of pulled her in. I said, hey, let's look at this. Here's some things that I've got from some other coaches. And I think she was a little nervous about what I was proposing, but it definitely just changed our organization and alignment and the need for it. I didn't realize how bad we needed it. And now that we have it, I can't imagine operating without it.
Yeah, it's that behind every good man is a good DFO, right? So,
amen.
Coach. So, Lexi, this question is for you, Coach Brooks. It's a kind of a two-part question, okay? What led you to the role? And what has your experience been like working in the role?
Like Coach Mann said, he had approached me last spring about it right after track. And I have always kind of helped on the operational side for girls track. I was the assistant there and just always had the organization. And so when he brought it to me, I was a little overwhelmed, but I also was like, this is my wheelhouse. This is something that I know I'm good at as far as organization and making sure that the little pieces here and there can get accomplished. So I said, let's roll with it and let's just see if we can make it happen. And if I am overwhelmed or can't take something on, I need you to know that I really mean that. And so he has been great on allowing me just to kind of set those boundaries, but I do take on a lot. And then what was the other part?
Just what has your experience been like? As far as it's a generally all male, right? And then you come in, and what has it been like? What experiences?
So I will say I was a little nervous at first, just because I have been until last year, I've always been on the girl side of athletics. And yes, I've worked with a lot of our male coaches, but it was At first, it was nerve-wracking, just because I'm coming into a role of, yes, I am a woman on staff. Yes, I am a female coach that is coaching boys. It was a lot of overwhelming, but I just remained true to who I was. And our coaches on staff have been nothing but supportive. Anytime I ask something or do something, they are quick to respond. And then our kids, when they know something is said that comes from me, they're quick to be like, yes, ma'am. And if they're not, I have the coaches behind me that also support me and say, no, like Coach Brooks is a coach on this campus. You're not going to call her miss or anything like that. And so that's been the great experience. And then being the operational side of it, at first it was overwhelming, just the start of football season. You feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose. And then once I finally got a rhythm and figured out what worked for me, it has been more smooth sailing, and it's easier to say, okay, Coach Mann, I want to take that, or I want to do this, now that I have figured out what routine works for us.
Yeah, the balance you create, I think it's, Coach, you'd probably agree with this. It's a two-way street, Coach Mann, right? I mean, she created a lot of balance for you too because of what she took off your plate at times. And maybe, we all want people that can do our job better than we can. We just want to manage, right, at times. As a head coach, whether you're a head track coach or a head football coach, you just want, obviously we still love the game or the sport, but we want somebody to kind of balance us. And I always like to hire people that were better than me. That was the whole deal. It would make my job not easier, but I know it would make my job, I could do more of the things that I really needed to focus on when I took things off my plate. So great answer. One, you want to add anything, Coach?
Well, yeah, 100%. Today, especially, as I noticed in the 5A, 6A levels, when you're going to our stadiums now on game day, it's no longer, like you said, we were doing a good job. I mean, we would perform on the field, we were handled, but the pregame festivals, who was on the sidelines, what kind of kids group, what military organization night, who's getting sideline passes, what are these? And now with technology, with this, the instant replay that we're starting to get in the press box, and then being able to set that up at halftime, who's going to get that? What coach is going to leave to go get that done? And then who's also making sure our filming and all those responsibilities, who's supposed to be where, we want that to be as professional. And we're in the entertainment business in coaching football. I mean, you're kidding yourself, you're not. And all the different departments that we touch on Friday night, having Coach Brooks there now, we elevated our game. Our performance got 10 times greater. And that's when we're in front of our biggest fans, our biggest supporters, our community. While we were able to connect with sponsors, our booster club, all the different effects, it just was a seamless transition where I'm not out there scratching my head like, is this guy, who's this? I don't have to worry about that. I can focus on what I'm there for at that night, is to get our team prepared and go play.
Great point. Yeah, because how many times have you said, both of you, I just want to coach?
Yes.
I just want to coach. At the meet, I just want to coach. I don't want to deal with all these things going on. So that's a great point that I've had in my head on the sidelines, thinking, who the heck is this guy behind me? Like, so let me go on to the third question. Again, Coach Brooks, this is for you. What are your primary duties as the director of football operations?
That's ever evolved. But start of the season, I'm all about managing our managers, making sure that whatever we need for that week, they have those duties and roles assigned. Coach Mann and I walk through practice plans together as far as the overall view of what it's going to look like. And then they meet offense, defense to go through what the details are. What time kids need to be up here. I do the weekly communication to parents, students. I help communicate with admin. During the week, I also make sure that film for practice is uploaded, film for games is uploaded, make sure game day meals are here, work with the booster club as far as making sure they have their sponsorship packages together as they're going out, answering their questions during game days, knowing who's running our tunnel crew, who our sideline passes are, who gets comp tickets for that week. I run a lot of those operational side, as well as, if it's senior night, who's getting what, if it's middle school night, where's the middle school going? I work very closely with our stadium manager, just making sure that we have all those odds and ends created. And then I work out of the season, I help with strength, with the conditioning side. I work with our strength coach to figure out what we're doing for off season. I do the recruiting, sending out prospect sheets to colleges. Am I forgetting anything? Academics. Oh yeah, that's the big one. I forgot about that. I really track our kids' academics, and I pull a grade report weekly, and I look at who's tardy to class, who's absent to class. Why are our grades the way they are? We have our campus policies for grades, so making sure our kids are accountable to that, making sure they're going to tutorials when they need to, creating those passes, working with those position coaches to know, okay, this is where this kid is at. I need you to kind of help step in and make sure that they're there. And then I also reach out to admin, making sure that our kids' grades are what they are, eligibility standards, all of that. So
wow.
Just a couple of
just a few things.
And teach history, right? So
yes. And that too.
Yeah. So that's a load. Coach, you got anything to add to that? Or
no.
And I think the next question was answered by her, but I'll give you an opportunity, Coach Mann. How does the DFO's role take pressure off your coaching staff, right?
Well, I think that right there alone, it kind of explains it. But beforehand, we would split those duties out amongst the 12 to 13 of us that are coaching football. And like I said, in the off season, some of that's been manageable, but now she can focus that. So when on the Thursday, Fridays during the season, when we're going out and we're just doing our walkthroughs, we're doing our pregame, that gives her that time and ability to come back in and refocus in on our academic side, update the prospect sheet, kind of dig back into the stuff that I love, data. And now that we're able to get more data, we're able to track and see, why are we off? Why are we missing this? Where can we get better? And that just brought our staff closer together, because now they're getting the resources they need to look at their position groups. Now we track them each group, and now the DB coach can say, these 5 guys are great. This is where he's off. Versus him having to run to pull that data and then figure out how to solve it. We're solving the problem because of what she's brought to our table. And then, like you said, the practice stuff is where, I thought that I knew that was going to be great because of our organization. But during the season, during practices, this year we had trouble with our segment timers at practice not running effectively, and they would go off. The power was shut off. We were constantly having to reset them. We live and die by those, segment timers. Well, coach ended up, I was like, hey, I need you to just go around each group and yell how much time we have left here. So she kept us on track, on pace. She's over there reminding coaches, hey, we got 2 minutes in this drill before we transition to special teams. Hey, don't forget, you're going over there. And on top, this was our best year ever at getting film back to our kids. We got more things filmed this year because there was a coach working with our managers, not a coach that told the managers, hey, go film this, and then we'll come in. We pray it got filmed at the end of practice, And so that's been it. On top of everything else, it's been a huge blessing.
Great. Coach Brooks, this question's for you. How does a typical game week look like how does a typical game week look like for you in terms of logistics, planning, and team support?
So it starts on Sunday.
Okay.
We meet up here as a staff on Sunday. Coach Mann gives blanket information that we need as a staff, and that's actually where I bring campus information to our staff as well. So that way they're up to date with if grades are due that week, or if we've run into a teacher issue with the kit, anything like that. That's kind of where I give that information, so that way they're aware. I also talk about leave times, if we're traveling that week or who's traveling that week. And then going into that same day when we break off, I spend that time reaching out to our booster club, figuring out who's bringing our game day meals. If it's a faraway game, who's ordering the food for us after the game, what do we need to pack? And then rolling into the week, we have early morning practice Monday through Wednesday. And so I get up here even earlier, making sure that everything that we need as far as technology goes for the practice is plugged in, charged, ready to go. And then I meet with the coaches and I ask them, what do we need to have filmed? When do we have music on at practice? When do we turn on the go routes? Things like that of that nature. What is precedent? Where's the end zone camera going to go that day? things like that. And then I actually shoot that to our managers, and they have a script as well, so they can see exactly where those things need to go. And I walk around practice, but I'm also making sure, like, hey, make sure this is going, checking in on them, but also getting to check in on our players as well. A lot of times in the DFO role, you don't really get to, you feel like it's just behind the scenes, but I get to talk to the kids while they're on the sidelines in a break or something like that. So getting that, just getting to build those relationships. And then usually Thursdays are our sub varsity games. And so I'll make sure that everything is uploaded, charged, SD cards are cleared. Everything's ready to go for game day on Friday. And I have our managers help me pack our sideline boxes and everything we need to take to the game the next day. And then that evening, I actually go with I stay at home and go to all the home sub-varsity games. And I make sure that if we need a chain crew, that's set up. If we need an announcer, I have that set up for just those sub-varsity games. And the sub-varsity kids love that I'm there, and they're always asking, building that relationship as well. And then on varsity game days that morning, while the team's doing walkthroughs, me and my manager crew will get everything pushed out, ready for our athletic trainers to load the U-Haul to take everything to the stadium for us. And then that day, I'm making sure everybody's got their comp tickets. We know that when food's coming, if there's any extra stuff we need to do. I also get to focus on recruiting that day. I get to focus on our academic stuff, starting to pull that for the next week. And then when I get to the game night, we actually leave earlier than the players to get out all the camera equipment set up. And before I leave, I make sure that the food is delivered, coaches know who gets what, things like that. And then we leave as a managers and a few other coaches to get headsets set up, cameras set up, everything they need in the locker room. We do have our replay TVs now that we get to also make sure that those are set up, ready to go. And then I get to stand there and wait and watch the stadium fill up as our kids are warming up, practicing. And then during a game, I am usually on the sidelines, making sure that if you're on the sideline, it's because you're allowed to be on the sideline. I'm pretty good about policing that and making sure that our kids are there, focusing on what the task is at hand. I'm also solving whatever problems technology-wise comes up. And then I have a manager that oversees our ball boys, and so helping her along that, asking me questions. And then if there's any other issues that come up, I solve that during the game. After the game, we get back, I upload film, and then one of our coaches sends it off to huddle, and it starts ball back over on Sunday.
Wow. And then, so my question to Coach Mann is she on a 10-year contract, or because
I have captured her soul, and it's in the I've got it hidden in a closet. So through this podcast, nobody come poach. I've made a contract with THSCA that this is not allowed for at least 10 years. No, seriously, Joey, we're going to be lucky to keep her here long. You know, as big as this position is in high school, it's just growing in colleges, and the contacts that we've been able to establish this year alone, just from that side, I have no doubt that hopefully that she loves it here so much she doesn't go anywhere. But, you know, it's so cool to see the environment, and it's just so cool those managers that we do have, which are oftentimes young ladies that are wanting to kind of be around the program. They're not quite, they don't want to be the student trainers necessarily, but it's a light and an avenue for them because this game is just growing, and the popularity and there's so many resources and jobs within our game that I think we could advertise more, between the broadcasting, the announcing, to the technology side of producing. I mean, our stadium now has, the jumbotrons with the big video boards and making graphics and all these things that come and apply with this. And, just in the short time we've done this, how many people have already reached out, and, was fortunate enough to be at the Rock program this past week. And, they're asking questions about that. Like, how do y'all do this? And I think it's just hopefully something that our day and age, we got to expand our roles, and it's great for students. It's great for coaches.
I think so. And you look at just from a big standpoint, like Dr. Susan Elza, Coach Rule taking her to Nebraska 10 years ago, Lexi, that would never I mean, that would never even be a thought, right? And I don't mean that chauvinistically or anything. It just proves that, we can all do our part on a coaching staff, right? Regardless of what you're doing, whether you're coaching or something outside of coaching, the director of football ops. It's amazing because all those things you did, I know coach did them before. Even though you hand those out to your assistants, you're constantly monitoring your assistant. Did you get that done? Did you get that done? Are you behind? You're taking that role now, and that's an excellent deal. I was interested to see how all this worked. I've hired a guy as a strength guy and a DFO, and it really didn't work out the way that I thought it was, and I didn't know how to work it like y'all do. So that's very informational.
And I will say on my part, there is no other DFOs in Central Texas. I am it. And so for a long time, when I first took this over, I was like, I feel like I'm a low man on a totem pole. Like I don't really have a lot of companions who've done this before. And so I just, for myself and those that are wanting to be a DFO, it's reaching out to those who have done it. Dr. Elza is someone I do follow on Twitter, and seeing the work that she's done. I've reached out to, Callie Cameron at Baylor. I follow Lauren Cherry. Like I follow people that are doing or have done the same things because, like you said, you want to hire people that are better than you. I want to learn from the people that are better than me, that have done it before. And so that is a lot of why I was able to just take on the work that I've done, because I've had that support and I've been able to reach out to people, but I've also figured what's going to work best for our program too.
Yeah, some of the questions that they asked, we've already answered here, so I'm going to move on to a couple, right? And I knew it was going to flow that way. I just never have done a podcast. But Coach Mann, what qualities make someone successful in this role?
Well, they have to be a leader, number one. They can't be afraid, because you're going to be put in a position where you're going to have to make decisions, quick decisions, and immediate responses are going to come with that. I think, too, you got to be organized. You got to have a passion for that. Not everybody checks that box. And the attention to detail when you're sitting, communicating information, when you're organizing events, when you're putting people together, whether it's food delivery or stuff like that, those seem like kind of sometimes meaningless tasks. But as well as I, if that doesn't get to where it was, or that one kid didn't get a meal, that's the world's ending at times. And it's a big deal, because it's a big deal to our parents and our community. So I think you got to be organized, and then you got to have a passion for what we do in our profession, which is kids, and trying to get somebody to understand, like, it's coaching everywhere. I don't care if you're coaching a boys sport, girls. We talked about it earlier. There's a ton of, opportunities you see out there where men and women are both coaching and track together. There's about a co-partnering there where guys your shot thrower, your discus thrower coach may be coaching boys and girls, and your girls coach may be coaching boys and girls hurdlers. Why can't that transform in other areas too? There's not a reason why we can cap just football to guys. It is a big profession, but I think having somebody that's willing to step into that role and be a great leader, because it also shows our young men you can be coached by anybody. And if we're going to be successful outside of this profession, you're probably going to take a job today where you're probably going to have somebody different above you, whether that's a female, male, or comes from a different ethical background or whatever. This is just another opportunity to understand great leaders come in every shape, size, gender, everything else. So I just think that you got to have a passion for it, and you're going to come over. And the best thing it does is it bridges that gap on your campus. It's really unified our staffs now, because, everybody gets an idea. Oh, you're just a track coach. Oh, you're just a football coach. And now we're all coaches, which is so cool, because everybody's getting to see a little bit more into our windows.
Yeah, excellent point. I wish we had 2 hours, because I'm really enjoying this. Coach Brooks, as a female working in football, have you faced any unique challenges?
As a female, as a head track coach or boys coach, I have,
Absolutely.
On both sides, I have definitely faced the many looks that I've gotten. I've even been at games, and I've, opposing side has ball boys, and they've kind of made a comment to me like, who are you? And our kids have stepped in and been like, that's our DFO. Like, no, you're not going to talk to her like that. Even though I can handle it, our kids are also realizing and we're protective of our coaches, of our kids, but they're just as protective of us. And so at the beginning, it was a mix of, okay, this is unfamiliar. What do you do? And I had to, tell kids, I don't just send out the weekly emails, because I did get that comment. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I tell them, you don't see what I do, but you would feel my impact if I left. And they're like, okay, like they know, okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions. Whereas today, it's like I can overcome those. I know I'm expecting the looks, and until this is something that's implemented on every campus, you're going to get those, because it's not normal to see females in football.
Yeah, I think of my time when I was in the classroom. I was a PE teacher, and every place I'd been, I'd have, be co-ed, right? And a lot of times I was the only PE teacher in the gym, and trying to get the girls out of the locker room. Sometimes they stay longer because they didn't want to come out, right? It was always kind of like, how do I get in there? How do I, how do I get them out of the locker? Like, you're gonna have to give me a female because I can't get them out. And you come up with solutions. But those are some of the things that I always thought. And one other thing, Coach Brooks, what advice? Because we're going to run out of time. What advice would you give to other women looking to work in high school football operation?
You be yourself. Like 100%, just be who you are. Yes, I don't take getting a seat at the table lightly, as far as, like you said, 10 years ago, women wouldn't have been in the football office. And I have a desk right with the rest of our football coaches. And that is something that Coach Mann would probably agree. I have not changed who I am. I am 100% me. I'm going to tell you when I don't agree with something, but I'm also going to be the biggest supporter in your corner, whether that's our coaches to our kids. But in being yourself, you don't have to prove why you get a seat at the table. You've already done enough to get there. Now just be yourself. Do what you know how to do, and the rest will come. The respect will come. The kids will latch on. It will all come together, but remaining who you are, keeping your boundaries, keeping who you are will make this job so much easier.
And Coach Mann, how does strong collaboration between the head coach and the DFO improve a football program?
It's tenfold. I mean, obviously we spend a lot of time in conversation weekly, daily about, procedures, things, placement. It's also nice kind of having a fresh set of eyes that's not necessarily tied to position to kind of keep the temperature. There's been times she's come in and had conversation with me like, hey, they're really tired. Coaches are really tired. Hey, wouldn't be hurt. We probably need to hear something positive today. Or at the same time, since she does have a connection with some of our female coaches on staff, she's been able to come to me and collaborate with me like, hey, it probably you need to check on so-and-so. Well, I've worked with so-and-so 17 years. Why hasn't she told me this? Like, no, there's just things going on that it'd mean a lot if you just pat her on the back. Just little things that have changed the temperature in our building that we all have. And I'm blessed, like you said, to be here 17 years. I've had coaches I've had 6 head coaches on this campus that have opened the school with me. So, I mean, we watch each other raise our kids, but we all get in that protective mode at times that we don't want people to know what's going on. And that's opened our doors a lot. But just on the coaching side, the collaboration has been huge. But again, it has to be open and it has to be real. I've been very honest with her in conversations like, nope, we're not doing that. It's fine. We're going to be okay. No, I think we've had those, we butted heads like we have with other coaches. And, and I've seen her give it right back to me, and I've seen it give it back to the staff. And if you walked in and you were in our staff, the most beautiful thing is you wouldn't know if that Coach Brooks was nothing other than a football coach in that office working with a staff of men. I mean, and it's made I think it's made all of our coaches better across the board. But to collaborate is huge. And I'm a big, where there's a lack of communication, negativity, we'll feel it. And when we were getting so busy and I wasn't doing a great job, because you're putting out fires all the time. And, as an athletic coordinator and athletic director and all those roles that come with all the other meetings, you can't always be the voice. And it's hard to sometimes giving up. And since we transferred this role, man, our communication, the things that are getting out, our headaches have gone so much down. in that world because we're so effective in how we communicate.
And Coach Brooks, I was going to ask you this question, but I'm going to answer it for you if that's okay. It says, what are some common misconceptions about the role? I think everyone's going to have a misconception because you're not male. And I don't mean that, but you've set the bar way, way high. Just talking to you and hearing Coach talk about you and the expressions that both of y'all are making when the other one's talking, right? There's a mutual respect. So I don't think there's any misconception about what you do. And that's all we're looking for when we're head coaches. You're a head coach too, Coach Brooks, is good assistants, right? Good people that will bring everything together. And I see that because I've had his job before, which is usually the biggest job on campus, right? In regards to you just have more kids, right? And just like I always think band is the one that has the biggest problems too, because they got more kids, right? So you've relieved a lot of his time where he can focus on other things. And so, I don't think there should be any misconception about what you do. I think
No,
just find it
there's
really
not.
right. And I love the part we do butt heads because
Oh,
there's no growth without that, right? And
amen.
Correct.
so, Coach Mann, let me see. What advice do you have for a head coach who's considering adding a DFO? I mean, that's you can go
Don't
ahead.
hesitate.
Yeah.
Jump all in. I mean, I think I've tried to tell everybody it's one of the best decisions I've made, and it took me 17 years to figure that out. But it's being able to hire, like you said, put great people in charge of great things, and you're going to get the result of it. And it's made me a better coach. And now that I'm getting to, being in a head coach for 17 years, there's some burnout. There's some times you get
Sure.
tired, and it's been refreshing because now I get to this offseason, I've got to pour into our leadership program with our kids. And I became a better coach because I'm diving into the stuff that I want to study and I want to get back to them because I'm not spending those other 4 hours a day tracking the other stuff down because I know it's being handled. And it's allowed me to grow in my role as a head coach and an athletic coordinator even more. And we're just scratching the surface. We're about to make this thing huge. I think it's not only what we're doing here and how we're going to expand this, but how it's going to affect every program on our campus. And she didn't say this earlier, but it made an impact on our band program this year because what she did with our academics and how we set up our advocate passes for tutorials, she got with our band and our fine arts people, and they jumped on board and they copied it. And so we're impacting the culture of our campus. And I think that's when you start getting into those worlds, when you combine athletics and extracurriculars and fine arts and put us all together, man, you can change the culture of a campus real quick.
Well, like I said, I wish we had more time, but Chris, can I ask Lexi one more question?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Lexi, Coach Brooks, I'm sorry. What is the most rewarding part of your job?
I feel like a lot of people would think, Friday night after getting to stand there as the stadium fills up and we're about to go into game time and all my hard work has been put together for that moment. But for me, it's about one of our coach's daughters who literally stands on the sideline with me, who's been a ball girl since I came to Rouse. The first time I ever met her was when she was walking out, leading the Raiders with Coach Mann. And to now, she stands next to me on the sideline. She helps me get things together operationally. And it's the impact that I'm making, not just in her life, but for our other coaches' daughters as well. When I'm on the sideline and they just get to a game and they're like, they call me Miss Lexi and they're like, Miss Lexi, and they draw me pictures and things like that. I know that the hard work that I'm doing right now is for them, is that they get to enjoy the same sport that their dads love and that there's a place for them in this game, just like there is for their dads.
What a way to end this. Your footsteps matter, right? No matter who.
Yes.
And we want them to follow us because we have so much. We're in a profession where we can be positive or negative and all. We can give somebody a positive vibe or a negative vibe. And I really believe that. I did a presentation at the Leadership Summit this couple weeks ago, and I have 67 kids that I coach that are now coaching now. And to me, it's not. I've learned more from kids than I've ever taught them. I really believe that. Their compassion and all the things and the situations that they go through. But they have a little bit of you in them and you have a lot of them in you. And that's what you've created by that, especially, talking, I have a daughter too that was an athlete, and so I know how important that is. And, Coach, I know you have 2 boys, but, and them following your footsteps is the same as girls following your footsteps. You know what I mean? So that was a great, great answer. Like I said, Chris, I wish we had more time, and hopefully I get to meet both of y'all in person one day. But I had a really fun time, and I was really nervous about it because I wanted to make sure that I knew everything about y'all. So anyway, if you want to leave with anything, Coach Mann, please say what you'd like. And
I just appreciate, Texas Coach Association shining a light on this, and that they took the time to pick us out, and that shows how much they're paying attention. Sometimes we think they're just up there and handing out awards and medals and supporting us on the legislative side, but they're paying attention to what we do. They're the ones that sought this out. We didn't put this out there. That's a credit to Libby and all the leadership at Texas Coach Association, that they're trying to shine a light on this, and that we get just to be a little spotlight on this. And man, thank you. You did a great job, man. This was so much fun, and I'm just glad to get to highlight. But again, just as a closer, she's not for sale, so nobody can come get her.
Well, maybe not. If I become a head coach again, I may come after her. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Is that all we need to do?
And perfect, Coach Brooks. I get tired just listening to everything you do, which is amazing. and Coach Mann, you said it best. You said culture, and that's really what it allows you to do, is really build that culture and focus on the little things. Coach Castillo, thank you so much for such wonderful questions and expertly guiding this conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome. I had a great time. I really did.
Hey, of course, I want to thank our guest, but I also want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me what I consider the most valuable thing you can give, your time and your attention. And I know you don't do it to hear me. You do it for the great messages provided by the THSCA. And hey, if you'd like to associate your company with the THSCA and the Coach's Call podcast, limited sponsorship opportunities are available. You can reach out to me, Chris Doelle, 713-269-4620, or head over to my website, freshmediaworks.com. Once again, thank you so much for supporting Texas high school coaches. Please share this show out to everybody you can so that we can help share these important messages. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on The Coach's Call. The interviews in this show are brought to you by the Texas High School Coaches Association. THSCA provides to its more than 26,000 members access to the people, events, tools, and resources to help them thrive in the profession, become trusted leaders in their communities, and live balanced and successful lives. The work and sacrifice coaches do every day is vital to the development and success of student athletes. The THSCA supports these efforts. We fight for every coach, provide them with the connections and resources to improve their lives, and help all student athletes throughout the state enjoy lasting success. The mission statement is simply this: to help and serve Texas high school coaches as they work to help and serve student athletes. Helping coaches help kids. For more information on the THSCA, visit www.thsca.com.